I'll be giving you all the SCQ answers in the key format so that you do not get puzzled in the examination. I'm also here to guide you with the MCQs, and I'll give you a complete list of OSPE and viva questions along with answers. I'm not going to send my students into the warfare of examination half-cocked and with limited information. I'm going to give you and I'm going to equip you with every knowledge and every aspect of the SCQs, MCQs, OSPE and viva so that you do not flunk in the examination. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Ahmed Raza Khan. I am an MPhil in Forensic Medicine and Toxicology subject. I've had the honor of serving this subject for the past 17 years, out of which I have taught for 8 years in King Edward Medical University. Then I have taught for about 4 years in Services Institute of Medical Sciences. And presently I am serving in the Office of Surgeon Medico Legal Punjab. And besides this, I am delivering lectures as a consultant in Allama Iqbal Medical College, which is actually my home ground. Today, the reason for the making of this video is that I would like to help out my students. But naturally, nobody in the world can tell you how to study. All that I can do is to tell you that how I ever studied. I've been a topper throughout my life, from kindergarten till the medical college. So I think people have been asking me that what is my secret and how do I study and what are my rules and regulations which lead me to the topper position. So I would like to share I won't say that they are the trade secrets or something like that, but however, I would like to share here the points that have managed me to reach this goal throughout my life. So the point number one is how to study. What I was guided by my elders was that whenever you start studying, especially in your prep leaves or in your revision time, you start with the subject that has been the most difficult for you. You don't start with the easy subject, because like that you'll just revise that easy subject and you'll feel that like you have accomplished a goal or really met a target. But in the long run, when you'll pick up the hard subject and the difficult chapters, there you'll become depressed. So when you are fresh, when you have your full energy and when you are fully enthusiastic to study, then please start with the hard chapter, hard topic, hard subject which you really find very difficult and you are not willing to just even to have a look at a glance at it. So once you start with it, and by the end of the day, when you are end with that, when you are done with that, when you are finished with that, you will really have a sense of accomplishment. And after that, in a few hours, like a couple of hours or even an hour later, if you start with revising the easy parts of the curriculum, you will be very relaxed and oh yes, you know this, you know this, you know also this, you also know this and that. So that is the one tip that will help you to study. The second thing is, there are three categories of students in the universities, colleges and schools. Number one category is those students who only study the curriculum or the books and that's it. They do not go for the applied studies, like what are the questions that are being asked from the university in these related topics. And then there is a second category of students who only go for the university questions. Like whatever the university is asking, they just try to cram up all those questions and reproduce them in the written answer sheets. And then there are those students which are actually brilliant and they actually put in the hard work where it is required and where it is most fruitful and beneficial. Those are the students, those who study the curriculum plus the university questions in an applied way. They study a chapter, they find out the university questions that have been asked in relation to that topic, and then they seek out the answers for those short essay questions and multiple choice questions, and that's how they prepare themselves for the examination. Now, as I said that I can't tell you how to study, all that I can tell you is that how I studied. My point of view is that I've been making notes throughout my life. I just don't cram up a paragraph, blah, 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 yara, 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 yara. No. I just break up, I just take the university question, I just try to understand what the examiner is asking me. Then I take up a paragraph from a book that is relevant to that question. And then I break up that paragraph into points. I'm going to share a book of Bernard Knight, Forensic Pathology here, and that is related with the dating of the bones, aging of the bones. And I will share that page here. I will share that in the link below, also in PDF, so that you can download it from there. And it's my request to all of you that try to rearrange that page that suggests that how do you calculate the age of the bone according to what you perceive from the question. And by the end of the video, I will let you know that how I perceived it and how I apply it, and what answer do I as an examiner expect from my students. So for that, obviously you'll have to continue watching the video till the end. But it would be a very interesting exercise. So please don't skip and cheat and just go to the end and just see what I have, how I have divided it into those answers as according to the question. But try to figure it out on your own, and then just go and see that what I have deduced out of it. One point. And then during these 17 years, I've seen that the students, they study very selective. Like for example, in the written, they are only studying for the SCQs. On the day of the viva, they are only prepared for the viva questions. On the day of ospe, they are only well versed with the ospe questions and answers. Now, what happens that sometimes things are always interconnected, they are always interlinked. You just can't get rid of the subject by just cramming up the SCQs and reproducing in the written and just going on the viva just like that. Like, there are times when your viva starts from your written examination paper. Last time I've had the privilege of going in one very prestigious university, and I was the examiner there, and trust me, on that day there was a batch of 35 students, one of the most prestigious institutions, like one of the best in Punjab, one of the top merit institutions, and obviously the top merit students are going there, and they were all appearing in the final examination of third year MBBS Forensic Medicine and Toxicology exam. And I just asked them about the Christianian saying of oxalic acid. And it was not my question that tell me that Christianian saying or whatever. I just gave them the open book. Okay, just tell me in which chapter is it mentioned. And it was a collective question to all 35 students. And none of them were able to answer that. So what sort of a preparation is this? What sort of an examination attempt is this? Like in the viva day, you are just coming in for preparation of just a select viva questions only. So this is a very bad and a very negative way to study, and a very negative way to prepare yourself for the exam. So you just prepare yourself mentally for everything. Then one more thing in the preparation is important, is that when you start to study, try to study in the early morning hours. Start up at the Fajr time, offer your Fajr Salah, and then just sit down. At that time, your brain is at maximum capacity of learning ability. And as the day progresses, you need to feed yourself to give your brain the glucose levels that are required and mandatory for study. Because I've also ran my own gym for about 10 years, And trust me, doing an exercise for about 1 hour with a 100 kilogram bench press does not exhaust you that much as that a 15 to 30 minutes brain activity of studying exhausts you from the glucose levels. Your glucose levels are really depleted when you study hard. So keep replenishing your energy with energy sources. Put up some backup snacks with you always so that your brain doesn't get exhausted. And then finally, when you are studying one topic in a day, try to divide your topics on days. Make a schedule so that you have a time for revision, and whatever you are studying today, in the next day when you are sitting to do the study the next thing, try to revise the previous day's work in about half an hour or an hour, something like that. Then try to study the SEQs along with the study of the chapter and the MCQs. So this is the points, one of the few points, and finally I would like to suggest that how to attempt an MCQ. Now when you are attempting an MCQ, there are some MCQs of which answers are so obvious that you just know the answer, and out of the 5 options you know that one option is correct and you don't even need to look at the 4 other options. Like for example, if someone asks you when was Pakistan made, so it is 14th August 1947. You just know that and you don't need to look at the rest of the 4 of the options. So there are some MCQs that you know just like that. And then sometimes there are very tricky questions, there are very close calls. In that, then you have to use the rule out technique. Then if this is it, this may not be it, this may not be it, this may not be it. Finally you come down to a close call of 2 answers, and out of that you again have to rule out one of them to just click on one. And remember one thing, if you have a negative marking, be very careful. Negative marking means that if there are 50 questions and you have 25 correct options stated and the rest of the 25 that you have marked are incorrect, you stand up at a balance of 0. So do not try to over attempt the questions, but just in case if there is no negative marking, you may over attempt and try. You might get lucky and your answer might be correct. And finally, the myth of the option C. That is an absolute rubbish. Some people say that if you don't know the answer, you just click on C. Just on the human psychology, that if a person is making a MCQ and the first stem is a lie, then a second stem is a lie, then maybe the third stem the examiner is embarrassed to of lying so much and he might pop up the true MCQ answer. This is not the scenario with those people who actually know how to make the multiple choice questions. So multiple choice questions are those questions which are actually made to make you read in between the lines. You need to know the subject inside out instead of just cramming up the pool of the questions and then just reproducing the answers. And that's what the students do. If they have 50 MCQs, they think that if they take 45 marks out of that, so they are only left to achieve 5 marks out of the SEQs to get 50% out of 100 marks. That is a rubbish approach. You don't have to compete with yourself like to get 50% marks. You are becoming a doctor. You ought to know the entire anatomy, physiology and an entire human body. You are going to treat the humans. You are not becoming a car mechanic, that if you only know how to set a carburetor and not to take a dent out of the car. You don't have an option here. You are a doctor. You are a fully qualified doctor and you're dealing with the human life. So you need not tell your patient, oh, this is the question that I left in option that I had when I was preparing for my exams. You need to go for 100%, and then you might end up learning 80% or at least reproducing 80%. At least that is acceptable. But if your target is 50% and you are just trying to pass and get through the examination, you better not opt for the medical field, as you are dealing with the human life. So I think by and large I have covered most of it. So stay tuned in. The reason for making this, another reason for making this video was that I'll be giving you all the SCQ answers in the key format so that you do not get puzzled in the examination that what is the question and what is the answer. So I'm not only here to guide you as to how to study, but I am also here to guide you with the SCQs and MCQs. And I'll give you a complete list of OSPE and viva questions along with answers. I'm not going to send my students into the warfare of examination half-cocked and with limited information. I'm going to give you and I'm going to equip you with every knowledge and every aspect of the SCQs, MCQs, OSPE and viva so that you do not flunk in the examination. I hope that you've passed with the flying colors. So stay tuned in, subscribe in, and enjoy the SCQs and MCQs and all the preparation of forensic medicine and toxicology. Thank you.